Welcome guys to Six Sips. This week we are in Hawaii. We've been here for 3 weeks total.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. But today we wanted to talk to you guys about what we're out here doing, the purpose of it, and just kind of give you guys an update about where we're at with company. So I'll let these guys kick it off because they're the ones that are actually running the project.
Yeah, we are out here performing a full obstruction investigation on miles and miles of piping. So
Literally miles of piping.
we're out here trying to get a representative amount of data on the riser, crossmain, and branch lines on some wet systems, some pre-action systems, and trying to give the customer pretty much a capital asset of what's going on their fire sprinkler system.
So why do we call these obstruction investigations asset assessments? Like, what's the purpose behind that?
It's a more detailed scope of work than the 5-year assessment. So you get a further, you're expanding more on your testing locations. You're expanding the scope of the work. Instead of looking at small points of the system, you're looking at the large scale of the system.
Right.
Giving a better understanding of what's going on in the entire system instead of just a couple of areas at the end of the system.
Okay. It's not necessarily like every inch that we're covering, but it is absolutely like from one end to the other, spreading out our locations to get a really comprehensive idea of what's happening inside that pipe. So we'll go, end to end. We'll hit a representative of branch lines, and then we'll give kind of an idea of like what trends are happening in your system that either have caused corrosion or are leading to corrosion or could lead to corrosion. Well, and so how does that differ? Like if you had to do this with a traditional invasive, like going all the way through all the pipe versus this, like what are the differences? What are the time frames? Like talk about the difference there, because I think what's unique about Sonic is you mentioned statistical data. Like that is something very unique. How is that different than just running through and opening up every single piece of pipe to see what needs to be done?
Yeah, well, they're definitely not going to open up every single pipe,
No.
but they're going to open up the
or
areas.
as much as they can.
They're going to open up as much as they can in the areas they can,
Right.
in domains, other areas. It's just going to be, your quick little look in. You still have to take the system down. So depending on what areas you're in or what kind of facility you're in, you might have to be on a 24/7 fire watch.
Right.
You wouldn't have protection as your system is being inspected because it'll be down. And depending on the project like this, where we're out here for 3 weeks, it would be a long time of taking that system down every day and having to put it back together.
Yeah. Right.
The way we're doing it, we get to keep it in system. The system is live the entire time. It's not taken out of service. So there's no disruptions to the customer or the protection of the system.
So, in information-wise, can you talk about, like, you mentioned statistics, like, talk about that a little further, like, how do we trend that data and stuff like that? So, what's unique about kind of Sonic and our data is, obviously it's captured when it's live, but that information is, it's empirical, it's subjective, so when we take an inspection, it's not based on, what someone else is looking at or what they're able to see with their eyes, it's based on what's happening in the steel itself. What's good about that is when we start at, at your riser, at your valve, and we're scanning there, and we're kind of going forward onto the bulk main, feeding the rest of your system, going to the end of that main and some branch lines, we're collecting, you can almost call it like a snapshot or like a map of your system, and we're actually going to be able to map corrosion and trends leading to corrosion. So if we're noticing lots of drops or low areas that are trapped without a proper drainage system, that's going to be, let's say you've got a pre-action system that's got a low spot where water is collected due to your trip test or whatever else, that's going to corrode unless you get that water out. And there's a lot of systems that have these pockets all over the place. There's and it's not because they don't know how to design it, it's because the building is weird shaped. There's 1,000 reasons for it, but basically that pipe has to get in that back corner and provide coverage. So whatever it takes to get there is what it takes to get there. And usually that looks like, we go down and up and over, left, through walls, around walls,
drops,
it's just
rises.
The real world of systems means that there's going to be areas where you've got either trapped air or you've got trapped water, which are the most common form of corrosion is that oxidizing, non-organic corrosion. And that's what's going to happen time and time again when these systems are just left alone and never touched and never looked at. And something Chad mentioned when we were talking before was we get in spots in the system because we're going everywhere, or as many places as we can. We're going to see more parts of your system that maybe your contractor hasn't seen since it was installed in some cases. We'll find a drain that's never been used, or we'll find an extra valve or an extra head or a dead section of main that they don't even know is there. Maybe because the system has changed hands a few times with whoever's handling it. Maybe because it was installed weird or there's some extra thing put together there.
Yeah.
So we'll see is, even based on your drawings, you'll have your drawings and we'll go in and see real life. You've got 5 extra branch lines that don't actually exist, or you've got this section that wasn't even put into your drawings.
Wow.
So we're offering real-time, real-life data about your system that you just wouldn't get any other way except by going everywhere and looking at every piece or many pieces.
Pretty much creating a roadmap of where we tested and
Yeah.
being able to show the trends of the system and the areas of concern, the low points,
precisely.
and all the other stuff.
That's a good point.
That's really good. Well, guys, that's what we're kind of starting this big conversation about, which is obstruction investigations. It's what we're out here doing today. Really, what we like to call it is asset management, because we're taking that statistical data, just kind of summarizing everything. Is we take statistical data to create representation and give the ability for capital planning moving forward on how to manage these systems better to extend its life. And so, thank you guys.
I want to hit one more thing. I know we'll hit this more later on, but for anybody who's on here and then you've got a system and you're like, man, that thing is just way too old. There's no saving it now.
Yeah.
We as a company have done a lot of old system assessments, and I think our current number that we've looked at, the worst case scenario we've seen is about a 20% system needing replacement or a major repair.
Yep.
If you are someone who thinks that my system is way too far gone, it probably isn't.
Yep.
I
That's
can't
good.
say empirically that it's not, but I would say that you can probably save as much as, half your system, 80% of your system, whatever the number is. We can save you a bunch of installation costs and steel costs by doing something like this. So give it a shot.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, thank you guys for joining. We hope that you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you, and catch us again on Six Sips.
Let's enjoy Hawaii.
Yeah.